This is a Volkswagen, a German automobile manufacturer, a large international corporation in charge of multiple car and truck brands, including Audi, Seat, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley, Bugatti, Scania, MAN, and Skoda. In 2015, saw the company engulfed in scandal, the Volkswagen emission scandal, sometimes known as Dieselgate or Emission Gate. Let's see how it happened. In the early 2000s, Volkswagen wanted to expand their business in the United States, and for that, they needed two new diesel engines that could meet US standards. And Volkswagen believed the same strategy that they have in Europe could work in America, but in the United States had a problem. Its diesel emissions rules were much stricter than Europe's, especially for nitrogen oxide emission, so they needed past emission tests. That is where this story begins. This story starts not about the cheating, but with the success. So, engineering limits. Diesel cars are popular in Europe. They were very efficient. They were very profitable. And Volkswagen engineer worked on the new diesel known as ER189. So, to truly meet US rules, the engine is needed complex exhaust system, extra pollution control hardware, and reduced engine performance. And this creates the conflict. Petty emission meant higher cost. Higher cost meant lower profit. Management wanted diesel cars that were clean, powerful, affordable. Management wanted diesel cars that were clean, powerful, and affordable. In practice, achieving all three at the same time was extremely difficult. Software solution. Because hardware solutions were expensive, Volkswagen turned to software. Modern engines already use software to manage performance, so engineers programmed the engine computer to adjust behavior depending on driving condition. So, during the emission testing, driving conditions were always the same. No steering movement, smooth speed patterns, predictable engine load. Therefore, the software was designed to recognize these conditions. When the car detected a test, it activated full emission controls. As a result, the engine produced very low emission. So, as you understand, the car passed the test. And as immediate result, because the car passed tests, regulators approved them. And because our regulators approved them, Volkswagen sold diesel cars in the US. Sales increased. The solution appeared to work. Therefore, there was no reason to change it. But in reality, in real world driving, outside the laboratory, driving conditions were different. Steering wheels moved, speed changed constantly, road conditions varied. Therefore, the software switched back to normal driving. In this mode, emissions control were reduced, fuel efficiency improved, performance increased, and as a result, real world emissions were much higher than the legal limits. Drivers were unaware, of course. The cars perform super well, so why you will question it? And why the problem went unnoticed? Regulators tested cars only in laboratories. They didn't routinely test real world driving. Therefore, Volkswagen remained compliant on paper. And because the software behaved correctly during the test, system detected no problem. This continued for several years. And in 2014, the researchers at West Virginia University conducted a real-world emission testing. The team included Don Carter and Jack McDonald. Their goal was to compare laboratory results with real driving data. And of course, they chose the Volkswagen. So they tested the diesel engine vehicles from Volkswagen on public roads. The emission levels were far higher than expected. Because the results were extreme, the researchers suspected an error. They repeated the test. The result remained the same. Therefore, in findings were shared with the International Council on Clean Transportation. So, International Council on Clean Transportation reported the data to US regulators, California Air Resources Board, and Environmental Protection Agency. And these regulators started the investigation and they started to question Volkswagen. Of course, As expected, Volkswagen denied. They suggested technical issues and environmental factors. Therefore, regulators allowed Volkswagen to apply software updates. However, the updates didn't reduce the real-world emission. As a result, regulators refused to approve a new diesel models. This created a serious business problem. In 2015, during the admission, without regulatory approval, Volkswagen couldn't sell diesel cars. Therefore, in September 2015, Volkswagen admitted the existence of emission control software. This admission was first made privately. And on September 18, 2015, the FPA publicly announced the violation, and the scandal became global. As a consequence, following the announcement, CEO Martin Winterkorn resigned. Lawsuits were filed worldwide. Diesel sales declined sharply. Volkswagen later confirmed that 11 million vehicles were affected. As a result, the company paid more than $30 billion in fines, settlements, and compensation. Several engineers and executives were charged with the fraud. Long-term impact. After Dieselgate, emission testing rules changed worldwide. Real-world testing became mandatory in many regions. Public trust in diesel technology declined. Automakers accelerated the investment in electrical vehicles, and Volkswagen itself shifted its long-term strategy away from diesel. So, as you understand from this story, Volkswagen didn't fail the emission tests. They passed them with very huge success, and system accepted those results. Only when testing methods changed did the truth become visible. Only when testing methods changed did Only when testing methods change, the truth become visible. This is why the digital scandals remain important today. Thanks for watching. If this story stayed with you, give the video a like. And if you want more stories like this, you're always welcome to subscribe. Bye.